Imagine a new kind of investing, a potentially life-changing way to invest that honors biblical principles, the kind of principles that you and I grew up with. Since 1994, Timothy Plan has made biblically responsible investing possible, offering mutual funds and ETFs that are filtered for biblical principles. Don't compromise your values. Invest with Timothy Plan. Ask your financial advisor or call Timothy Plan at 1-800-TIM-PLAN. Again, that's 1-800-846-7526 and discover what it means to be a biblically responsible investor. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at timothyplan.com. Read carefully before investing. Mutual funds distributed by Timothy Partners Ltd. and ETFs distributed by Foreside Fund Services LLC. As a paid testimonial, there is no guarantee of future performance and each experience will differ. Hey there, welcome to another MemoPOD. I'm glad that you are with us. I need you to know something. Last week on the MemoPOD, I talked about the wonderful lady that was falling asleep in the midst of my MemoPODs. This week, it may be me. It just may be, because I'm recording this now after my daughter's first choir concert, and as is the case whenever my family goes anywhere, whether it's church, whether it's a concert, whether it's a civic function of any nature, we close that place down. Like, I know several of you will say, oh yeah, we do too. Yeah, we stay late. No. We do. So if we're in the same place, we'll be there after you've gone home. You'll be in bed and we'll still be there. And that happened again tonight. But did Peter say anything? I'm speaking in third person now. Did Peter say anything as people were yakking and talking and I'm looking at my watch? Didn't say a word. I was happy. I was joyous. I was thrilled to be there. And it was great. So anyway, it's later now. I'm not going to rip anybody off. We're still going to cover the same amount of topics that we were going to cover anyway. The first of which is, I need your feedback on this. I thought about just making this for paid subscribers, but this one's more of a general question that I need your feedback on. Hang on a second. I got to reach up here. Okay. I need your feedback on. And you can be totally honest with me about this. I guess you can lie to me, but there's no real reason to lie to me unless you're just wanting to create a headache for me. But I'm truly seeking this out because this is something that I have wanted to do. There are a number of people in my life who are good Christian people. Okay, I have a lot of people who are Christians in my circle. Many of those individuals who are Christians in my circle, they get really uncomfortable, or maybe I shouldn't even say uncomfortable. They feel bad, or they kind of really hope nobody finds out that they don't really know a lot of the Bible stories, as they're called, or the Bible accounts. They don't know a lot about the Old Testament. They don't know, and this may shock some of you, they don't really know who Noah is. They know that he had the ark. And so, yeah, he was probably the flood guy. But they still sometimes get confused about that. They certainly don't know Noah's three sons of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. They know very little about Moses. And those are the two big ones. When you start talking about some of the kings, whether it's Saul or David or Solomon, if you start talking about the prophets like Elijah or Elisha, if you were to start talking about some of the figures in the book of Genesis, those key historical events and figures, whether it's Abraham and then his son Isaac, and Isaac having Jacob and Esau, and what went down with them, and then Jacob being renamed Israel and having his 12 sons, and that Joseph was the favored son. When you start getting into that stuff, sometimes the names will sound familiar, but as far as if you just said, well, you know Joseph in the Old Testament, they would really not want to be put on the spot when it comes to that. In sermons, when it comes up that Hannah, the mother of Samuel, prayed for a son and promised that she would dedicate her son to the Lord if God would grant her a son. a lot of people don't know that. They're not familiar with it. Then you start talking about the judges. And I don't even mean the lesser known judges like Othniel. No, I'm talking about the well-known judges, whether it's Deborah. Most people are familiar with Samson, or at least have heard of his name, or Gideon. Like they don't know him. And so what I had always talked about, and I talked about this with the elders at my church, or a handful of them, a time or two, that I would, this was my thought, it always was my thought, I'd really like to put together a Sunday school class that is just Bible 101. That there's, and you market it not as, hey, for all of you that didn't go to Sunday school, here's your chance. Although I think there's a lot of people that would be like, yeah, that's me, and I want to know, and I just don't. But even, I was just talking with a guy tonight at this concert afterwards, as we're closing the place down. He was on his way out, but we were talking because I knew I'd be there a while, and we were discussing, well, it wasn't Sunday school stuff, but it was school stuff about me helping my daughter now in some of her math, and she's a freshman in high school, and he has a daughter who is a junior in high school. Junior in high school. And she's doing some geometry, and he said, and that kind of comes back to me. And I said, well, I'm starting to max out now. And I was a good student in high school, but the last time I took a math class, man, that was back my senior year of high school, because I clept out. That's what they called it. You took the test, and you got the college credit because you passed the test. And so I got my 6 credit hours that I needed for my college degree, and I never took a college math class, ever. I think for my political science master's, I had to take a statistics class. So there was some math involved in that, but it was nothing like math that you took. So what I'm getting at is, I was a really good math student when I was in high school, but it's been a long time since I was in high school. And so I don't remember that. And so you take that and apply it to something like Sunday school. Okay, I grew up in the church. My parents took me to the church. I went to Sunday school. I know I remember, or I heard some of these stories, but I don't remember it all. So you market it that way. This is for people, that never went to Sunday school, but also people that went, and it's been a long time. And you think about adult Bible electives or classes now, if you call it Sunday school, very few people attend. And if they do, there's a lot of assumptions that are made. Okay, we're going to study the book of Galatians. We're going to read through the Gospel of John, and we're going to discuss it. But you're not doing the Bible stories. You're not doing the background stuff. So it was always my thought, I really want to develop and teach a class, call it Bible 101, where we're just hitting and learning some of that stuff that we feel like we should know. It never took off. And one of the reasons it never took off was not because people didn't support it. The elders that I spoke to said, it's a good idea, but you don't have time in your schedule to bite that off. You don't have time to put something like that together. And we don't want you taking the time and getting all stressed out to do that, which I appreciated. But of course, it didn't satisfy me. And so I've continued to think about it. And this is what I'm asking you. What I've settled on is I want to pull together a one-day, call it a seminar or whatever. Like I just did a seminar on foundations, how we know that God exists and how we know that the Bible is, the Word of God and not just the words of men. How we weather the cultural storms, just kind of those big, like 4 main. So I just did that at a church, and we went from like 9 a.m. and we got out about 2 p.m. And I felt like that was it. That we'd maxed people out at that point in time, just because there was a ton of information. But you give people a booklet, a nice prepared booklet, that's got little places that they fill things in as you're going through, and you teach that class, and you do it in a day. You hit the high points in the day. And then not only have people heard it, they've written it, and they have something to keep and reference when they need to, or if they wanted to, just to get in their heads some of those Bible basics. So my question to you is, I'm not asking you to sign up, but is that something I'm just curious, is that something that if it was available to you, that you would attend? Or am I just thinking that people are going to be a lot more hungry for something like that than what they really are? Like, and I bounced it off Jenny, and Jenny said, "Oh, I'd go. I'd go in a heartbeat." Because she and I have talked about that stuff, that she remembers going to Sunday school as a kid, but it's been a long time since then. And so sometimes I'll be preaching about something and she'll be like, "Okay, you made this reference and I didn't make that connection." And there's a lot of people that just never went to Sunday school. They came to the faith late, or late in their life, or they were never taken there by their parents, even though they went to church. So I guess I'm trying to like state the case here, and I don't need to do that. I want you to tell me, is this a worthwhile venture? Frankly, I think that it is. But if I'm way off here, if there's things that I need to think about, is there something in you that I would benefit from that, but I wouldn't go to it? Number one, because it's too long, or number two, because I don't want to be seen walking in there. I'm supposed to know this stuff. Is there any of that? I just feel like if you get a big enough group that's like, yeah, I could use a refresher, that people aren't going to, because then you can just pass it off as I need a refresher, not I never learned this stuff. I don't know who Moses is. And maybe some of you are sitting there saying, "Okay, but come on, you're exaggerating." I don't think that I am. I think that there are a handful of believers out there that are very, very unfamiliar with the Old Testament. So I want to know your thoughts on that. Is it worthwhile? Because it is going to take some time in development. It is going to take some time away from other tasks that I would have. But I'm getting to the point in my life, I know I'm at the point in my life, where the tasks that I do bite off and I do go after, I want them to have eternal value. I do. I don't want to waste my time doing other stuff anymore. And that's frustrated some people, because I used to be fairly decent at some of that other stuff. I just don't want to do it anymore. And I'm realizing that more and more every day. I want this. I want to talk about Bible things, and I want to talk about faith and what comes after this short life. So to me, that's one of the reasons this kind of jumps out, but I am curious. So you can comment below if you want, or just shoot me an email, peter@peterheck.com. That is peter@peterheck.com. Would love to hear your thoughts on that. Okay, I need someone now to explain this to me. I want you to explain this to me like I'm 5 years old. This is a post that I saw, and part of me wants to refuse to believe that people like this actually exist. And that sounds bad, but I'm going to read it to you. This is an online post. "Hello, my name is Doa." I believe that's how you say it. Maybe it's Doa. It's spelled Doaa. I'm at a loss there. I've never heard that name. "Hello, my name is Doa. I am a Nubian Afro-Indigenous interdisciplinary artist and decolonial practice-based researcher." By the way, this reads like it's some kind of parody, some kind of joke. And I am very attuned to those kinds of things. I don't want to be the one that takes something that's a joke seriously. So I did some digging. And I saw in the comments underneath it other people saying, "No, this is a joke." And then other people responded to those people with the evidence that, no, this is a real thing. Like a direction to an individual's website. This is a real thing. This title alone makes me not want to engage any further in conversation or discussion with such an individual. A Nubian Afro-Indigenous interdisciplinary artist and decolonial practice-based researcher. Doa, that's who Doa is. Currently residing on the stolen lands of the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh peoples, colonially known as Vancouver. All right, so we're in Canada here. Then this individual goes on and says this. It is really difficult, Doa writes, for me to ask for financial support. However, I have exhausted all of my options and need my community's help through my healing journey. I work for a charitable arts organization, and I am initiating this GoFundMe because I am currently dealing with the impacts of racial trauma that I experienced at a work event, which took place on April 7th and 8th, 2022. So you know what I had to find out. Number one, I wanted to find out, is this a parody? One of the ways that I found out this was not a parody was to go to chase down this GoFundMe was in fact real, and it was in fact because of an incident of racial trauma that Doa went through. So I did it. No, I didn't pay anything at the GoFundMe page, but I dug and found out what the racial trauma was. This individual went to an event, and the DJ playing hip-hop music was white. That's it. That was the racial trauma. Because apparently no white person should play hip-hop. It doesn't belong. It's jarring to those in this community. Okay. So, two things here. Number one, I wanted somebody to translate that for me. What in the world a Nubian Afro-Indigenous interdisciplinary artist and decolonial practice-based researcher is. That's the first thing that I need help on. Second thing is, I just need you to hear me, and I need you to be with me on this. We are ruining so many people. This nonsense has ruined so many people. I know Jesus can do anything, and with God all things are possible. But outside of his direct involvement, a person like Doa is gone. They have been raised and inculcated in an environment, a surrounding where this kind of stuff is celebrated, is rewarded, and even if it's not rewarded, it is coddled. That we're going to talk about the stolen lands that we're on. It's flatly absurd. It's flatly absurd because nobody ever bothers to note that the people that you say, in this case, the Musqueam, the Squamish, the Waututh people, if they were once on that land, there was somebody on that land before them. They colonized the same land. They were the ones that stole the land themselves. You can keep going back and finding other people that stole it from these people. Who's allowed to steal it and who's not, and is it really stealing? This kind of mindset, it's not even that it annoys me. I mean, it does. But the thing that actually bothers me about this is people get caught up in this and they don't come back. They're gone. You have trained them to be a victim. You have trained them to be, well, either in a perpetual state of victimhood or a perpetual state of guilt for things that they didn't do, and things. That's one of the things, if you saw that I Am a Racist movie, but that we talked about last time by Matt Walsh, it's one of the things that you noticed. The excessive guilt for nothing that individuals, it's just piled on individuals. Man, you can't be a Christian and think that's the way it should go. Yes, godly guilt leads to repentance. That's not what this is. That's not what's being peddled here. It is perpetual guilt, not godly guilt, that leads you to repentance, and then you nail whatever it is to the cross and you don't bear it anymore. No, this is something that you're supposed to bear all the time. And it's deadly is what it is. It's a mind virus, and I know people have used that term before, and other people get really worked up about it, and they don't like it, but that's what it is. It is a mind virus, and it alters and it changes people fundamentally, and it's a mess, is what it is. An absolute mess. So if you got any translation on that, you can let me know. Okay, so here's the deal. We're going to go to a break. When we come back after the break with our paid subscribers, I've got Joe Biden, still the president of the United States, kind of. I'm going to show you something. Number one, I'm going to show you his most recent verbal stumble. And not just the stumbling, but the yelling involved in it. And I'm going to tell you exactly what this is. And you know it, and I know it, and everybody else knows it. Maybe not everybody else. But I'm telling you, if you've had loved ones go through certain things, you know what this is in the current president of the United States. And then you've got Jill Biden hosting a cabinet meeting. Man, we got a lot to talk about with what's going down with the Bidens and our constitutional republic. I want to get into that. Also, do you remember a lady named Greta Thunberg? I got a Greta Thunberg update for you. Yeah, the little girl that decided she was an expert on climate change. You remember her. She's back in the news. Not about the climate this time. So I've got that for our paid subscribers, as well as some Joe Biden audio and a discussion about what in the world's going on with these people. That comes up in the second half. If you are a free subscriber, gosh, I'd love to have you part of this. I'd love to have you part of our community. I totally get financial hardship and financial difficulties and strain. You got to make ends meet, and you got to keep a budget. And maybe there's not room in the budget for this. Just know that we're here and would love to have you if it would ever be worth your while. Okay, so you can try us out for $10 a month, or just do it all for 1 year. $100, just rip it off like a Band-Aid, and then you can be part of what we're getting ready to talk about, and I would love that. So think about it. It's in the email that I sent you. Those of you who are free subscribers that aren't going to think about it or aren't going to do it, no worries. I'll see you next week. And those of you who are paid subscribers, I'll see you right after this.
The Memo with Peter Heck.
Please patronize and thank all the sponsors of the Heck podcast, including McGonagall's Buick GMC, Terrell's Auto Service, Norris Insurance, Stevens Machine, Creative Financial Center, Indiana Right to Life, Tri-Green Tractor, the Indiana Family Institute, Hartman Family Farms, Liberty Financial Group, the Wyman Group, and J. Watson Creations.